Hello and welcome to SkySwitch University. In this session, we're going to cover generating statements, how to generate a statement for a customer in billing services. So we had worked with this customer, ABC customer. We had created this customer with an order. And if you notice, it's in a pending state. It's in a pending state because we have not manually completed an order on the account. We have not activated the customer into billing. When you want to activate a customer into billing, you manually complete an order on the customer. So again, we looked at the customer profile area. There's 3 areas on the customer profile page: the customer profile area, the billing and collections area here in the center, and then the services and workflow. So after you complete an order, after you create it, you create the customer and create the order, you're going to notice that your orders tab down here in the services and workflow has a 1 in it, and here's the order. And again, we looked at the view details screen in the last video and how to modify or customize the order prior to manually completing it. But also on this options tab, we have manual complete. So this is how when you're ready, when the order's ready, and you've activated the customer and you're ready to complete them into billing, you can click on manual complete. We're going to say yes, and then it's going to ask us the date of when we want to activate this customer into billing. Now this date could be a past date, a present date, or a future date. It doesn't matter. It's what is the day that you want them to begin billing, to be activated in the billing. So we'll just leave today's date. So the system is processing that order and then setting the customer into an open state. So you see here at the top that the status is now open and there's a bill cycle date. So and there's already a balance because the system's already generated those charges. So let's go back down into the services and workflow. Now we will see that our orders went to 0. And so what has happened is our monthly recurring charges have flowed over to the services tab. Now as we look at the services tab, this is what we refer to as a service line or a billing line. And you see it was activated today, 1/29. Now if we click on the little drop down here to the left, we can then see the monthly recurring charges, or the monthly products that are going to be charged for this customer on a monthly basis right here under services. And let me say a few things about this before I talk about the non-recurring or the one-time charges. So we have 2 products and or services that are going to be charged on a monthly basis on this customer. 5 times $24.99 total, 5 times $3 total. Now, if you notice, these products and or services are links. And so this gives you the capability of changing the product and or service that's on the customer's account in the future, or immediately or in the future. So let's click on it. There are 2 main things that you can do by clicking on a product or service. It brings you back to the screen that allows you to change the rate, quantity, and or the description. So you have to click on the change rate or quantity button, and then this gives you the ability to change the rate or description. Now let's say you accidentally put the wrong price in when you created the order. Maybe you had it wrong on the quote or something, okay? Or let's say it's 3 months from now and the customer calls and says, hey, I want another extension. I need another one of those. Okay, and we could change the quantity to 6. Now when we do that, we're going to be asked, what is the effective date of that change, of that addition? Is it next billing period? Is it last billing period? Is it today? Is it a specific date? So you can set specifically when you want that addition, to the services or products or services to occur, and then save. We'll just return to the customer for now. But I also want to bring you back there. Let's go back down in the Services and Workflow on the Services tab and click back on Reseller Basic VoIP Extension. And let's say the customer, after a year, closes down and doesn't need the product or service anymore. The other thing we can do on this screen is we can change the status of a product. And in that case, we would change it to disconnected, and then we would set the actual date that we want that product or service to be disconnected on. This way you can disconnect particular products or services on an account. Maybe he wants to keep the other services, but he wants to disconnect this product or service. And so we can put it back to pending state, or denied is not applicable. It's really the pending or disconnect that comes into play, but it's mainly disconnected, active or disconnected. Okay, so let's return to customer, and that is a way that you can change the product and or services that are on the account at any given time. Okay, so I also want you to notice that on the options button, as we expand this, and on the options button in on the Services tab in the Services and Workflow, we can also add service. So if we click on Add Service, this will bring up the different monthly recurring categories of products that we have. So we can add a monthly recurring product here if in fact we need to. As we expand this, it's going to show us the different products or services that are in that category. We only have one in this one. I think we only have one in the other, but if you had multiple, it would allow you to select the product and or service, and then you can change the description, you can set the rate, and you can set the quantity of that product and or service. Now it's warning us because we already have this product or service on the account, but that's a good warning, because all we really needed to do, if that was the case, is to click right on the product and change it there. We wouldn't have to add it as a new service. The add service is when your customer needs a product or service that they currently do not have. The last thing we could do off here is cancel the line. The other two, change package and E911, are not applicable. So that is understanding the monthly recurring charges that are on the account. Now, when we put the order in with the customer, there were non-recurring charges on that order. Now, so I'm going to show you now what happened to those non-recurring products that we had on that order. When we manually completed the order, the monthly recurring charges came here into services, and they sit on the account, and then on a monthly basis they're put into billing so that the customer can be charged on a monthly basis. The non-recurring charges move straight to unposted. So that allows me now to talk to you about the billing and collections area, which is the main area of all your billing and collections activity. The first and foremost tab that you will deal with is the unposted tab. So we had this order that we input with the customer. It had monthly recurring charges on it, and it had non-recurring charges or one-time charges. The monthly recurring charges flowed over here into services when we manually completed that order, and here they are. The non-recurring charges flowed right up into unposted. The unposted tab is where charges go to sit ready to be put onto a statement. So so they're sitting there ready to be put onto the a statement. The one-time charges flow right from a manually completed order, and here they are. We have two of the non-recurring charges, one-time charges. In the bill range date, you can notice them because they have the same date, 129, 129, 129, 129. Okay, so these two top ones are non-recurring charges that we had on that order. And they're one-time charges, so they're only going to be put on that next statement. The others are non-recurring, monthly recurring charges. And if you notice the system, notice down here we have two monthly recurring charges, and the system prorated the charges for the rest of January, 129 to 131. Now, if you also notice, the system, we're close enough to February, so the system already generated the charges for the full month of February, 2/1 through 2/28. So again, I want to state that unposted is where charges go to sit in order to be then put onto a statement. So they're ready to be put onto a statement. Now, here we can decide at this point, whether how much of this we want to put on this statement. We do by selecting them to the left. We can put our non-recurring charges, the one-time charges for January, and our January charges onto this statement. Or we could include all of February as well. Let's just do January's, which includes the prorated charges for January as well as the non-recurring or the one-time charges. So we're going to select those and we're going to create statement. Now when we select create statement, it's going to ask us what due date we want to use. Now the reason it's given us 2/11/2017 is because we have put into the system 10 days grace period, or what Rev.io calls terms days. So it was basically giving the customer 10 days to pay. Now the reason it's doing 2/11 is because that's the full month charges that are in the system currently for February. Now, since we're only running January charges, and probably we want the customer to pay immediately, we'll just give him to Monday. Let's go Monday the 30th. And now these other selections here include unbilled usage. It doesn't come into play on this customer because on this customer we don't have any unbilled usage. But there could be a case on this customer or other customers that we're rating calls, and we would need to include unbilled usage and itemized local calls, those two. That's when you want to include the detail of the usage. You want to charge for the usage on the bill, and you want to include the detail on the bill. And we'll cover setting up usage rating on a customer in a subsequent video. The final bill is the case where the customers, this is going to be their last bill. And you can certainly select that. Enforced no paper invoice fee is not applicable and would never be used. So what we're going to do on this customer, we're going to leave these unchecked because they don't apply. And we're going to put in our due date and we're going to create our statement. We'll say OK. Now, if you notice, our unposted went from 6 entries to 2. And the only thing left in our unposted is our February, our February charges. 2/1 through 2/28, our 2 monthly charges. So they're sitting there in unposted, ready to be put on to that next statement. Now, our statement was created, and if we go over to our Bills tab, here is our statement. Gives us our created date, due date. Its email is flagged. Once we email it, it'll state email sent. Here are our charges, our taxes, our total, and amount due and balance. So the statement here toward the left, if we click right on the statement number, the system will download a PDF to our PC. Okay, so it's coming in down here to the bottom left, and I'm going to open that. I don't know if you can see it from there. Okay, so we have our SkySwitch reseller. The logo's pushed down a little bit. I'll have to repair that, correct that, but we will work with you on making sure your logo appears correctly. It does give you the total, the statement number, and the customer number on the statement. It gives you the customer information here and your remit to address information of your company. Now, it also allows you, the statement allows you to put information here in this box that is basically anything you really want to state. Most of our resellers put some information about their payment and their terms, etc., and just customer service, how to contact them, etc. So we'll work with you on getting this statement from you and making sure it's what you want to appear in this box. Then on the statement, you're going to see a summary, balance, any payments would show here as well. You're going to see recurring charges, non-recurring charges broken out, taxes and surcharges totaled here, and then total new charges, total amount due. Then your recurring charges will appear here. We notice that they're prorated for 129 through 131. And then we have our non-recurring charges, which are our one-time charges that we decided to put on this statement. Those appear here. And then we have a breakout or a detail of our taxes and surcharges. You notice 911 equalization fee, city sales tax. Here's a federal TRS fund, and then federal USF. We've talked about that several times. And then a municipal right-of-way fee, which again is based on the zip code of the customer. That's how most of these taxes were pulled. And then the federal TRS fund and federal USF is pulled from the tax class associated with the products and services. Now you have and then a state sales tax and a total. Now on this account, again, we don't have any usage that was applied. If we did have usage applied, it would show up here on the right side of the statement, and then it would also go into 2 columns on the second page, third page, and so on. So that's what your statement looks like. It looks better because we'll have your logo there on there correctly, but that's how your statement looks. Now let's go back to the account. So again, that's our statement line. The next month when we run another statement, this one will drop down a line and the new statement will appear here, and then it goes so on as it pushes them down. But you'll be able to see all the statements that you have run. The other tabs on the billing and collections, in the billing and collections area, number one is your bills, and then you have your ledger. Your ledger will show you all the activity in this particular customer. If there's a charge, it'll appear. If there's a statement run, if there's a payment made, it will appear in here. If there's a credit given or a monthly invoice charge added, any activity on the account will post in the ledger. So it gives you a running tab of all the activity on this customer. We've looked at unposted, and in a subsequent video we're going to look at taking payments. So for now, let's go back to our bills tab, and I want to show you how you will now email this statement to the customer. So here under the options button on this statement line, you'll see email bill. When you click on that, it's going to pull the email address that you have on file. It's going to show you this statement that it's going to add to this email. It's going to allow you to change the to address, CCBC. You'll fill in the subject information and the message. So this is how you're manually setting up the bill to be emailed to the customer, and it's going to attach the statement as a PDF. So you fill in your email information, you send your email, and that's how you manually send your statement to the customer. Now later in a subsequent video, we're going to also talk about automation. So that is how you take the customer from a pending state to an open state, and how you pull the charges from unposted, put them onto a statement, and then email your statement to your customer. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can open a ticket at support@skyswitch.com. Thank you.